You guys ready? Should we get started? Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for everybody for taking the time to come to our session today. We're D2L. So my name's Joe. I've been in higher education for a little bit over a decade, and I've done many presentations just like this. And even though myself, I'm not faculty member, my dad's actually an instructor at an open enrollment university in Kansas City, Missouri, where I live. So I have some really good news. Pizza's on its way. So that should happen anytime. So if my ringer goes off, it is intentionally on. I will just exit the door real quick. But we're super excited to be here today to show you D2L Brightspace. Show of hands, who here has actually heard or like basically, who's here has used D2L in the past? Maybe. Okay, a couple of people have used D2L in the past. Okay.
I can't hear real well. Well, I mean, maybe I can't hear real well. Could you speak up just a little?
Can you not hear me? Can you hear me better now?
I can.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, so D2L, just real quick, our story. We're super excited to be here today. I hope we don't come on too strong. It's kind of like we don't want to be like the third grader who's discovered his dad's cologne. And the reason why is because we actually came back from a faculty engagement yesterday. We had hundreds of faculty that interacted with us directly. And it was just a really cool opportunity about how excited they were that their institution is now switching to D2L Brightspace, right? And so there's gonna be a lot of really cool things we're gonna show you today, and you're gonna love what you see. And just for your convenience, I've put that down. And does everybody have the handout? Did everybody get the handout we got in there? Yeah. And so we're gonna show you a ton of really cool stuff today. We're actually going to show you how you can drag and drop and easily build your courses. We're gonna show you that our LMS is the only responsive design in the market. What that essentially means is that no matter what device you're on, it's gonna look the exact same. And the thing is, your students are gonna love it too. Like, trust me, I was at the Hampton Inn this morning in South Heritage. Talked to one of your students. This is the guy with the man bun and the big ear. The big ear. I was talking to him. He's like, I use Moodle. And he said, I access Moodle through my web browser. I showed him the demo site that D2L had, and he absolutely loved it. He's like, yeah, that'd be perfect. So your students are used to assessing the platform through their mobile devices. And no matter what mobile device they have, they'll be able to use D2L and get that same consistent experience. And so we'll show you a lot of cool stuff today, and it might be information overload. We'll start with some basic stuff and then kind of end with some kind of cool stuff we can do too. But if you only remember one thing from our presentation today, if you only remember one thing, I hope you take away from it, and that D2L is absolutely obsessed with making faculty's life easier when it comes to giving them access to complex information. And what I mean by that is, when I talk to my father, right, as a faculty member, we talk a lot about student success, and one of the things that's really important when it comes to student success is that it's really institutional success, right? And that kind of starts with faculty success. So we really have invested a lot, and we want to make sure that in the platform, wherever you are, you get visualizations that can easily tell you how your students are doing. So that being said, I'll turn it over to Brad, and we'll get kicked off, and we'll kind of start with just some basics. And to encourage participation, we have Starbucks gift cards too, so if anybody has a question, you get a Starbucks gift card. And so let's have fun today, and when my phone rings and I run out, that's why, so it's pizza. So I'll have pizza here too. Thanks a lot.
All right. So I'm Brad Kettelaars, Senior Solutions Engineer for D2L. I'm going to walk you through the product today. Please feel free to jump in, ask questions. I want this to be fun, okay, engaging. And if you guys don't participate, I get to take all the Starbucks gift cards home. So let's see what happens, okay? So a couple things Joe highlighted right out of the gate. One is that we have built our platform to be a responsive design. Unlike all of the other LMSs in the market today who are very focused on an app-based product, we went responsive. So what does responsive actually mean? Well, let's minimize my screen here. Yeah, I love Halloween, by the way. And so I'm going to minimize my screen. And let's say I was on an iPad, for example. You'll notice that my screen adjusts so that I still have full functionality. I've got my navigation bar, I've got my communication panel. But let's say I'm on the bus on the way to class and I want to jump in and I want to review that document or I want to prepare for the quiz. Exact same experience. The only difference is our navigation bar is condensed down into a nice little hamburger icon, but I can still navigate full functionality. Quizzes, assignments, discussion boards, you name it. We're not limiting the use or access to any tools. Okay. As an instructor, by the way, same goes for you. In a demonstration I was doing last week, they said, part of the criteria was show us how to create an assignment right from your iPad. No problem. So I created an assignment, dropped in a nice little intro video, and away we went. So if you're a big iPad or Android user, go nuts. You can also have full functionality in that mobile device. Okay. Now, one thing I do want to call attention to before I get too far down the road. Yes, we are a responsive design platform, but we have created some apps that have been built to enhance the user experience, not drive the user experience. So one example of that is we've created an assignment grader app, which actually allows faculty to take all of their assignments offline if they so choose. You can now go to the cottage or hop on the boat, do your grading, because that's where you love to do it, right, on the boat. So you're going to do your grading, annotations, videos, rubric, all of it. And then as soon as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you hit a publish button and up goes the grades, okay, and all the feedback. By the way, we accept hugs and high fives.
Would anybody like to see what it looks like on a mobile device? Just so you can kind of see. And this is what I showed your student earlier today.
Okay. Now,
it's going to be the exact same, no matter if this was an Android phone or a Windows phone. So. And then even on your Twitter feed, and so I found out when your campuses is closed for a little bit. I'm like, oh, do I hope they
Go post the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, anybody else? That's kind of what it looks like on a mobile device.
So now we haven't left the students out with regard to the apps. We've created an app called Pulse.
Oh,
very cool. So just while we're talking about mobile, what we did for the student is we created this app called Pulse. We actually held numerous student focus groups, and we asked them, what do you want in an app? Imagine that, talking to the customer and asking what they'd like. So we brought them in, and they said the number one thing we struggle with is time management. So what we've delivered is a nice timeline in this app that peaks. It has peaks and valleys, a nice little line graph, and it shows when they're going to be busy, when they're not, okay, when all their assignments are going to be due, and when they click on the date, all of the activities are there. So they can actually review content. They can now take content offline through the app if they want. They can participate in discussions. If they want to do a quiz, they can actually click on the quiz right in Pulse, and it's single sign-ons right into the environment. They don't even know they left the app, but we're actually using our browser-based responsive design. Really cool, okay? So.
Can I ask something? Is that based on the gradebook, or is that based on, or should I wait for that question?
No.
So like what you just talked about, where you can see where they're busy or not busy, is that based on what I put in my gradebook, or is it based on what I put in my?
It's based on the activities in the class. So if it's a quiz with a due date, it's going to appear on that day. If it's an assignment, it's going to appear. If it's content in a module that's due that week, it's going to appear there. So it's all of the activities. And anything with a due date, basically, to simplify it, anything with a due date. So that could be an entire module, or it could be the content within a module. So you really get to decide. Yeah, great question. Okay, so responsive design. Yay, right? Okay, everybody's excited. The other thing I want to highlight here, guys, is D2L is a very customer-focused and partnership-oriented organization. So what you're looking at is a product that has literally been built by client feedback. So again, just like we went to the students and said, hey, what are you looking for in a platform? We went to our user base and said, hey, what are you looking for in a platform? And this is what they wanted: clean, easy to use, customizable, right? Modern, simple. Those are some of the terms that were thrown at us, and that's what we've delivered. Okay, so this is right out of something we call the Product Idea Exchange, or PI for short, because everybody loves PI. And so you, as clients, would be able to participate in PI and send us your ideas for product enhancements, improvements, etc. So, because some of you have not seen Brightspace, let's level set. Let's break this way down here. We're going to start at the very beginning. What you're looking at the top here of the screen is what we call our mini bar. That's because we let Joe name it. I shouldn't have done it. Anyway, so Joe calls this the mini bar. This allows you to click on home screen. Pizzas here.
This is the part where it becomes the most popular.
We also have our nice course select drop-down menu. So this allows us to pin or unpin the courses that we have access to. So if I want to customize, let's say I am jumping into my carpentry course a lot. So as soon as I refresh my screen, we're now going to see that carpentry tile on our home screen. Okay, so I get to customize the experience, whether I'm an admin, a faculty member, or a student. I get to customize my personal little dash. Now, as a faculty member, maybe you want to brand your course. You want to make it a little more engaging. You want to drop in an image. Well, I can click right on this nice little toolbar, and I can say I want to change the image. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull up our image library. I can now select any image I want. You'll notice something cool, actually. Because the title of the course is carpentry, we've already searched that. But if you want to search something else, or if you want to bring in your own images, right, you give it a thumbs up, go nuts, right? You can do whatever you want, right? So you get to brand your course, and again, just modern, easy, simple, engaging, right? That's the goal. Okay. Now, moving on here, we've got our communication center. Communication center is just going to call attention to any emails, discussion alerts, new content's been added, a grade's been released, anything like that. There's going to be a little orange bubble there that highlights. The student can then click on it, and they can navigate to that area of the platform. Next, we jump to our profile area. A couple of really, really cool things in here. Number one, as a faculty member, isn't it nice to see the student view every once in a while, right? So, very simple, I can click on View as a Student. But for the folks in the room who maybe need to go a little farther than that, we can actually create as many different roles as we need to in our environment to support your needs. And as a faculty member, maybe I want to see what my advisor is seeing. Or maybe I want to see what, if you have a TA, maybe what your TA is seeing. Or, whatever the roles are that are important. You would actually be able to see those views as well. As administrators, you can actually see any role within the environment, which is very, very handy. Okay? Now, brace yourselves. Not only can we impersonate a role, but we also have an impersonate feature. So, Tim comes to you and says, I'm telling you, I'm not seeing my quiz, and it's due in an hour, and I need to do this thing. Well, you can actually impersonate Tim, go in and see exactly what Tim is seeing. Okay? Now that can be an admin-only feature, or it can be a faculty and admin feature. That's totally up to your organization. But the impersonate feature always gets me a hug. No, okay, all right. Not today. I guess not today.
The pizza came in right when you
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, Brad, did you lose him? I just went outside for 2 seconds.
Way to go. Two other things I'll call attention to while Joe's putting that down, and then I'll let you grab your pizza. Notifications and account settings. So, in terms of notifications, we are very focused on driving engagement, okay? Student engagement. More engaged students means more successful students. So, we have the ability, of course, to have students add a personal email address and even add a phone number, have alerts from within the system, push out. One difference here, though, because I know a lot of LMSs do that, is that in our notification area, they can actually decide what notifications and alerts they want coming to them. So do I want every single piece of content being added to be a push alert to me? Or do I just want overall module? Or do I just want a daily summary of what's happening in the course? So they get to customize their notifications, meaning it's going to be more relevant, more impactful. Right? So that is the mini bar. Any questions?
Is that on a course-by-course basis or on an overall
That is it's overall. However, they can actually make adjustments at a course level. Yeah. So if they don't want to receive alerts, for example, for a course, they can actually turn that off. All right. So did we want to take a pause there and grab some pizza? Or should we keep going? Yeah, let's grab pizza.
Yeah.
Grab some pizza.
Take
Yeah,
5 minutes to eat. Then
Yeah.
go back and they'll start talking again.
Yeah, that's right. I'll just watch you guys all eat it. Don't feel it. No, honestly. You guys eat, and then this will be perfect. I can just keep on cruising. I like that you went in for the whole pizza. That was a good.
Oh, there are plates, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I asked for plates.
We use plates around here once in a while.
Okay. Perfect.
It's just pepperoni and those. Someone said sausage right here.
Sausage?
Sausage.
That's half hamburger, half
Canadian.
Canadian, yes.
Canadian.
Canadian bacon.
What?
Canadian, right?
Hey?
Did you come from Canada?
I came yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Start grabbing plates. I'll open one regular, one diet.
Help yourself, guys. Don't be shy. Get in there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This one was sausage.
Is that good? Okay.
And this is.
Just start.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I've seen it. It's a lot.
Thank you. Oh, I got one over here in the distance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, I'm not a vegetarian, but I lean vegetarian or vegan. So I did. This morning, so it was very peaceful after everything that went down.
I work fast.
No, when you
I was just thinking about it, and I'm like,
when you sent that message too, I wanted to say, oh no, you can make sure like 2 hours in.
Keep getting that question. I was like,
Well, I don't ever.
Yeah.
So last night I turned it on and like I felt like I
Yeah.
kept trying to like sleep through
So I don't
earbuds. Well, and I had my alarm set. I think for online they said they usually make it so I was like waiting and like refreshing.
Your mind was, I know how it works.
I figured get it off as soon as possible, and then Joe was because I sent a message out to him after I sent it, and so I sent a message to him. Oh yeah, to cut it. You were pretty sick for snow issues. It's over here.
Any more plates?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's exactly what we do.
Our friends from Canada will use a towel to put.
Yes.
We'll pull out all the stops for you. Oh, there's plenty. No, there's plenty.
That won't work very well. I'll just take this. Yeah.
So I want to call it Sue. It's actually on Southeast and she's like, she's not out of our trouble.
Oh, yeah.
She said,
I think that one's still good.
Yeah.
I've never been, I was like, well, I'm glad you come there.
You better teach how to drag and drop content.
Yeah.
People might come to you and actually. Okay. Searching from, I was saying,
Okay, is everybody okay if we keep cruising? Oh, we got more plates. Okay. All right, well, let's jump back in. And so we talked about the different roles, the permissions, the impersonate feature. Now let's jump down to what we call our navigation bar. So the navigation bar, customizable at every level of the organization. What does that mean for you? It means that when you first log in at the organization page level, you'll have certain tools, right? You'll have maybe an e-portfolio, maybe you're using our learning object repository, great for sharing content and having dynamic links, etc. Okay, maybe you're using another third-party tool that you want to have a direct link to, no problem. That can be in the navigation bar. But then when you go into a course, obviously you want that navigation bar to have tools that are relevant to your course. So this can be literally personalized for every single course, or we can standardize this so it's consistent across the entire board. So we've got the flexibility to meet those needs. Okay? And then moving on to the fun area here, this is basically the home page, which is a series of widgets. And the best part about being a widget-based platform is that you can really do what you want with it. So yeah, right out of the box, we've got 30 or 35 widgets, right? Announcement widget, calendar widget, Twitter, and that kind of thing. But you can also create your own widgets. You know, I've worked with a number of clients who they'll create like a hotspot activity on the home screen, or you know, they'll want information for like their advisors or for their library services group or whatever. Really, sky's the limit in terms of what you can do there with the widget. Okay. So, any questions about responsive design, about any of the tools we've talked about thus far before we jump into a course? Everyone feeling good? All right, so let's spend the next few minutes playing as a faculty member here in one of our courses. So I'm going to jump into my English 1100 course. I love utilizing this course for demo purposes. A, because it's got content and data in it, which is great. But B, it's a great example of what we see a lot of our clients do. So for example, a lot of our clients are loving the banner widget, right? It's engaging, again, that branding. Same image is on the home screen, by the way, okay? Then you've got a nice announcement widget, an updates widget, which happens to be a faculty fan favorite. It's going to let you know if you have any ungraded assignments, ungraded quizzes that you need to take care of, etc. Okay, you can jump right to those tools. And then, you know, calendar widget, etc. Again, customizable. So maybe you don't want the updates widget. Well, then we can get rid of it. Based on roles and permissions, we can actually let faculty, you know, create their own home space if that's the direction you want to go.
When you talk about things that are customizable and can be changed, a question I would have is, because I've heard other demonstrations before, is it stuff that we indeed can change as an individual instructor, or is that something that college's administration decides on, and they make that decision. Because I've heard before, all these things are available to the faculty, but then in reality, it doesn't wind up being available.
So the answer to that is both. Because we're flexible enough to allow faculty to literally create their own widgets, drop it in, and design their own look. But really, your administration needs to make a judgment call as to whether or not they want to open up that flexibility. So the answer truly is both. Yes, we have functionality, but you know, from a design standpoint, do we want every class looking different, etc.? That's why we see a lot of templating. You know, in some cases, they'll give you a little area where you can work, and you know that's will suffice in many cases.
But as far as having something like what you want on that page, something that currently exists, so I could choose to have announcements and calendar and updates on this page of my course, where someone else may decide they don't want that.
As long as your administrators are okay with letting you customize the homepage, absolutely, that functionality.
It's configurable to your needs.
One thing I wanted to call attention to, by the way, is as I go through, you're going to notice that it keeps saying my name. So when I dropped in an announcement here, folks, I didn't actually type my name, right? I'm using a replacement string. And so, you know, clients will ask us all the time, you know, what differentiates you, right? Why do you claim, you know, this, you're the best in student success and engagement, et cetera? One just minor detail is the fact that you can use replacement strings throughout our system so that announcements now have the student's name. As a faculty member, I just type in curly bracket, first name, curly bracket, the system takes care of the rest. But now as a student, okay, I'm going into my class and I'm saying, hey, welcome to English, Brad, as opposed to, hey, all students, welcome back, right? So it's a much more personalized and engaging experience for that. So that's the home page, very simple, okay? Very, very easy to navigate and utilize. Now I'm going to jump into the content area. Guys, this is really the meat of the product. The content area is has evolved over the last, well, 18 years. But over the last 5 years, we've really been focusing on what faculty have been asking for, which is a one-stop shop. Faculty tell us they want one place where we can add content, create content, add dates, change dates, you know, create quizzes, whatever, you name it, grade, right? You can do all of that stuff from this one spot, okay? And what we've done is we've actually made the workflows very consistent. So I'm going to show you how we can actually customize the experience, meaning I can teach the way I want to teach. For example, in many products, you might be limited to, you know, having an assignments folder and having a quizzes folder and having a discussions folder, and that's your choice. Or the other option is you go week 1, week 2, week 3, and then the students have fun, right? Well, with us, you get the best of both worlds. So yes, we've got this awesome navigation bar along the top where I can jump into assignments. I can jump to all my discussions. But from a learner standpoint, we provide the ability to create linear learning experiences so it makes sense for your students, right? Linear learning. Do this, and then this, and then this, and then this, right? So along the left-hand side, you've got this awesome table of contents, which we can now customize to meet your class needs, the way you want to teach. Do you want to teach in a Unit 1, Unit 2 model? Do you want to teach in a Week 1, Week 2 model? Do you want to teach, you know, maybe a competency-based education course? And you want to have the, you know, the content broken down by competency or learning outcome, okay? So you now get to decide what that's going to look like. But let me show you, right? I use the word customize and everybody's like, well, right? It's crazy. But look at how easy it is to start creating this. So I'm going to throw in a Unit 3 folder for this year's English course. And so I type Unit 3 fiction, and there we go. I have created a module. And I'm now going to drag and drop that up right under Unit 2. And I now have this nice blank area on the right where I can start adding my content and creating activities. Okay. So now I want to jump out to my folder here. And I'm going to highlight all of this content. I want to bring in PowerPoints, Word documents, images, videos, you name it. I'm just going to drag and drop that right in. Okay? So that's going to take a couple seconds to load up, and I've just brought in all of that content. Okay? High fives? Yes. All right, yeah, very good.
Barb, did you pay close attention to that?
Can you tell?
People might ask you about that, I don't know why.
So as we talk to different institutions, okay, I can literally stop here. I can be like, okay, look it, we created a course, you got an announcement, you got your content in. In some cases, they're thrilled, okay? Drop the mic, we go home, we brought pizza, we're good, right? But guys, there's so much more that we can do if you want to, okay? So very simple, right? Drag and drop, that's it. Now, we've got this content in. Maybe I don't like the order of operation in which it came in. So again, I can just drag and drop. Maybe I want PowerPoints down here. Maybe I realize, oh, this document was actually supposed to be in the before you get started module. So I can just drag it across module if I want. Okay, and I can drop it in there. But now we can actually start creating content right in the platform as well. So if I wanted to create anything, you know, maybe I want to create a video, or I want to do a little audio message. Maybe I want to create a file right in line. Any SCORM users in here? Anybody love their SCORM? Okay, a couple SCORM users. SCORM is like, they usually tend to be interactive, like things that you can do on the screen, planets orbiting and that kind of thing. We can drag and drop SCORM images into our product. I mean, it's just super simple, right? Drag and drop, bring it in. Now, the bottom half of this list here is our activities. So maybe you want to create a checklist or an assignment or a quiz. What you're going to notice as I'm going through is consistent, right? I've got one upload and create button. I can bring in content, bring in videos, create content, create assignments. So let's start by creating a file together. I'm going to create a welcome message to my Unit 3 fiction. So I'm going to say, welcome to fiction. And I'm going to throw in one of those replacement strings. Okay, we're not going to, oh, actually, I have to work it spell it in this case. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay, so first name, and away we go. That is now going to be a live replacement string. That's how easy it is to personalize this for your students. So now I've got this really nice area here. Any computer programmers in the room? Anybody love playing with code? Right? Friday night, you run home, get the code book out. No? Okay? All right. Okay, so if you don't like your code, we'll skip the source code. Don't worry about it. All right, nice HTML.
But you can show us then. Yeah, you can show us.
You know what? Let's keep this real simple. HTML source code. You can have that, go nuts. But if you just want to copy and paste something from Word, if you want to just start typing, if you want to bring in an image, right? No problem. So really, really simple. Now, one thing we've done to go above and beyond, just allowing you to type and copy and paste, is we have the ability to utilize templates. So what this allows is faculty tell us all the time, well, I don't know what accessible content looks like. So we can create templates in advance that are already accessible, using the appropriate colors, etc. They tell us all the time it would be really nice to have templates that are consistent across the organization. So we could have a nice banner, like an image banner with Southeast on it. We could have copyright information, whatever you want, can be already included. So let's show you what this looks like. I'm going to use this click and reveal template. And you'll notice automatically it starts to populate for me. So now as a faculty member, all I have to do is either copy and paste stuff in or just start typing over the content. So I've now got this nice template. I know the colors work. I know I'm meeting all the needs. But away I go. I just put in my own stuff. Now taking it one step further. Anybody use multimedia in their class? Every hand, right, goes up. Okay. So I'm going to click on my favorite button in the platform. Stefan named it, insert stuff. Okay. By the way, if you haven't met Stefan, he's been around at D2L forever. So he named this insert stuff button. I can drop in a video note if I want. So it's going to use my own webcam. I can drop this in, quick little video, right? 1, 2, 3, 10 minute. Okay. Maybe I want to change my mind. I actually want to go and grab something from YouTube. So I'm going to go out. I'm just going to click on YouTube. Okay, and then I'm going to search best fiction novels. Again, spelling, important. Okay. So I'm going to grab this first video, my favorite 10 fiction novels. Maybe I'm recommending some things for students or something. And there we go. We drop in a multimedia video. That's how easy it is. So now we want to get a little more creative. I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to go out to my color content selector here. Okay, and I'm going to select this light bluey green. Guys, built right into our HTML editor. is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So we're actually telling you right now we're not creating accessible content. Okay? Someone with a visual impairment would not be able to pick up that color. It's not meeting the guidelines. So it's not until I pick a darker shade, I get the green light to go ahead and choose that color.
Will it still let you pick a bad color, or does it just give you a warning, or does it block you from picking it?
It warns you, it doesn't block you because you might not be done, right? So we still leave that open, but we're letting you know it's not accessible. Now, what we've just recently added a few months ago, when you're ready to publish this document, you can also click on Check Accessibility, and it's going to now review the entire document to make sure we didn't miss anything. Do all your images have an alt tag? Are all your headings correct? If you dropped in a table, most of the other LMS competitors in the market are not going to catch tables. We're going to catch tables, and we're going to make sure that they're accessible. Everything that goes into Brightspace runs through very strict accessibility testing.
What does it do with the YouTube video? Does it check that there is subtitle?
So for YouTube, YouTube has their own checker. So the YouTube won't be called out. If it's a video, like a video note, it's actually going to ask you to put in that description. So when you create a video note in our platform, it actually asks for the description.
Question from the webinar online.
Sure.
Will current Kaltura videos or video quizzes insert with that media button?
Absolutely. Yeah. So insert stuff. One of the options right under YouTube could be Kaltura or any other integration there.
So we're creating that drop-down menu.
Yeah, well, we're customizing it. Yeah, we're going to cut it during implementation. We bring in those integrations.
Plug in. Plug in now.
Stuff gives us a very large umbrella.
Nice, since I named this tool. You can do this stuff anywhere you can type in the system. So you want to do a rubric feedback, you want to give feedback in the gradebook, you want to do a discussion post and chat with the student. All these tools are just to make an interactive interaction.
Yeah. Okay, so there's the message, and this is exactly how it's going to appear. That's how easy it is to create content right in the platform. All right, so let's go back. And we're now going to create an assignment together. And we're going to show you very similar workflows. So I'm going to go back to my trusty old upload and create button. And I'm going to go to new assignment. Okay, and we're going to name this fiction essay. Okay, at this point in time, as a faculty member, I can decide whether it's an individual or a group assignment. If it's a group assignment, I only have to grade it once. I only have to give feedback once. It goes out to all participants. If Joe wasn't pulling his weight on my group assignment with him, then we can take his grade down, no problem. Okay. So you got full functionality there. Then we've got an instruction area, right? So full HTML editor. You want to do it in video, you want to bring in YouTube, whatever, right? You can bring that in. I'm just going to say write 2 pages. Okay, can't wait to see what I get back. And publish. Okay. So we have now just created an assignment. That simple. Next steps, maybe you want to add some dates. See that add dates and restrictions? Maybe we want to put this into the gradebook. So we can just click add as a grade item. Guys, people ask us all the time, why do you have to put in a grade item? Shouldn't it automatically just be a grade item? Well, maybe you want to have a multi-part assignment. Maybe it's a self-assessment assignment or a self-assessment quiz. We're not going to force you to put it in the gradebook, but look at how easy it is to put it in the gradebook. So I click on add the grade item. I say what I want it to be out of. And then if I've created or brought in my content from Moodle or from last semester, the grade items are already there. So I just click on the item that I want to link that to in the gradebook. I click save and away we go. Okay. If it's not already there, I could have just created it right on the spot. So I just would have added a new grade item. So that is creating an assignment. Very, very simple. Your students are now going to have an area where they can drag and drop their assignments in for grading.
Before you were talking about if there's a due date, so if you add a date, does that come up there?
Absolutely. So you
And will it come up like as an announcement to the student, or how does that work?
Yeah, so basically it's with the due date, you're going to automatically populate the calendar, right? The students are going to see this notification in their Pulse app. They're going to see the announcement at the top 2 days before the assignment is due. So absolutely there's notifications
And how does that due date work? Because I worked with LMSs where the due date, then the assignment disappears for the student. I've worked with it where it still appears, but you can cut off their ability to submit. What happens with that due date?
Yeah, great question. So you'll see that we have a due date and an end date. So the due date is when it's due. The end date is when they can no longer submit. So you've got those options right there.
I have one question too.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll talk about this later, but what if this is a fiction paper and I want to use turn it in?
Oh, yeah. So we have an awesome turn-in integration, actually. What we would do there is through the assignment tool, you create, just flip a little switch. We actually integrate it right into our workflow. Flip a little switch, it's now turn it in, and then you can actually access your turn-in parameters right from there. Okay, so it would just be you go to the assignment tool as opposed to right through the content.
Can you talk a little bit about how you would use a rubric?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll do. Yeah, if it's okay, I'll do rubrics as we're grading, if that works.
For all the due date, the start date, the due date, the end date, what does that look like on the calendar as far as if you put a start date in and then a due date and an end date? Does it mark up a bunch of days and then make it difficult for the student to know? Right now, what we see is it's open for 5 days, and so they struggle to necessarily know what the due date is.
Absolutely.
Is it clean on the calendar?
Yeah, ours is the due date is what you're actually going to see, and that's where Pulse comes in very handy. Is because they're going to see right this weekly snapshot of what's going on, and they see that due date.
If you have an end date, so you give students 2 days that they can submit late. If you want to give the student who's in the hospital another week on that assignment, can you do that for just one person without?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's called special access. You can do this on quizzes and assignments. You can give them more time. You can give them more attempts. You can choose different dates entirely for them. One of the really nice things about our special access tool is that you actually get your full class list. So after you set your parameter, let's say I have 2 students that for accessibility purposes need time and a half. I can just go in and do it once for both students.
Can you put a due date on anything, like just in here, like
Yeah.
discussion boards?
Absolutely.
Because that's one thing I struggle with right now.
Absolutely.
Okay, so any or
Content
have a
even.
PowerPoint that they have to watch by this date.
You got
You
it.
can just add that. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the parameters of due date and end date will work with discussions too. Because right now, we cannot put a due date on a discussion assignment that ties to the calendar. We have to do it again.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yes.
And if it is in the end date, is it still viewable or does it completely disappear?
If it's just the due date, it's still there. It's still there. The end date is when you're actually going to take away like the ability to submit.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to get some
Sounds like this
startups.
is a hot topic.
Oh,
Yeah, this is.
I don't know if they're engaged or they're just wanting Starbucks to get
So true.
Are there due dates on grades?
I can rename those myself.
But you can.
You can do release dates for grades, and you can release grades based on certain other triggers that have been done. So those release conditions, you can say they have to have done something before they actually release the grades. And you can date.
Stefan's trying to steal my thunder here.
Can you repeat that for those online?
So, what did you say? you can for the people online, you can release certain items through release conditions only after someone has done X, Y, or Z. So you can set up kind of a gated experience.
So talking about midterm grades, can it just post a midterm grade without the faculty having to do it? Just at this date, these grades are posted.
Well, yeah. So what you would do is
So there's not this submission process that happens.
Yeah, so we would create a calculated grade item called midterm. When you create that item, all you have to do is select what items you want included in the midterm grade, and then yeah, absolutely, that will become available. And then when we want that pushed to the SIS, the faculty is going to hit that export to SIS button, and away we go.
They still have to
They still have to
submit.
submit a separate.
Well, actually,
There's an option to reset process integration, depending on how the institution wants to do it, whether it's a button push, whether it's done at a time. It's not Q&A, you don't put QA on there, right? It's fact to make sure that all the grades are in there. Right? So there's some pros and cons to doing different ways. But the options are there.
Can I ask one last thing since we were on dates?
Sure.
So we had our course done, next quarter we do the course, just dump it in. Recently, maybe a couple of years, we can go one place and do all the dates at once instead of having to go and do them one by one.
So, yes.
You can do them all at once.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So if you, yes, the answer is yes. Manage dates in the calendar. I'll say yes to that. Yes, yes.
It's, one of the things we found though is that it's one thing to have one patient do it, it's another thing to be able to take everything and shift it. So we got a day calculator. We just say, here's the start of the last term, start of this term, and then shift everything. So in one shot, and then you can go and do the
And
exception.
fine tune.
Yeah, then you can say, oh, it's a holiday this day, I'll change that or this. So do it all in one step, and then do the exceptions as opposed to have to do every one from one page.
Okay. That wasn't even the exciting stuff. Okay, now we're getting to the exciting stuff. So,
We're easily.
no, that's great.
The challenge is Stephanie's got double thumbs up, so will you.
Yeah, all right. So, we talked about being able to release content based on a trigger, right? Based on something a student did or didn't do, etc. You want to create a gated experience? Absolutely. You can say, listen, you must complete Unit 1 and get a 60 before you can move on to Unit 2, etc. Absolutely, that can be done. But there's so many awesome elements to that in our platform that I want to highlight. So when we talk about student success, part of the session we were supposed to have this morning, this is one of the ways where we really, really differentiate. We're gonna help you provide unique and individualized learning experiences for your students to make sure no one's left behind. How do we do that? So I've taught English 1100 for years as a faculty member, and I know my students struggle with fiction, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a fiction remediation folder. And in this fiction remediation folder, okay, it's a sub-module within fiction. And so I'm gonna now go out and I'm gonna grab some additional content that I think might help my students who are struggling with the fiction content. Maybe I want this to help them on midterm. Maybe I want to give them a practice quiz. Maybe I want to give them a second quiz, like a makeup, okay? I can put whatever I want in this module. But not all my students need this module. So I'm now going to click on the fiction remediation sub-module, and I'm going to click on this add dates and restrictions. And guys, this is where it gets really fun. So in this create release conditions, you're going to see a huge list of opportunities for why and how we would release content to students. Are we releasing content to students because they did or did not visit a content topic like I asked? Are we releasing stuff because they didn't yet submit to the submission folder, right? This is applicable, by the way, throughout our platform to like announcements or to email messages. So do I want to send an announcement to all of the students who have yet posted in the assignment folder? And then the software is going to take care of that for you. You don't have to go through and figure out, oh, which students didn't do it. We're going to automate that. Do I want to release this folder because they didn't do very well on a grade item? They didn't achieve the learning outcome like I had expected? Well, in my example, we're going to look to score on a quiz. So I'm going to say any student who scores less than or equal to 59 on the fiction quiz is now going to receive this additional content. So once I hit update, I now can forget about it. Semester after semester after semester, this additional content is going to be there, and the students who score 59 or less are now going to receive this additional help, right? It's awesome. Okay. So many applications.
And I could include an assessment in there if I wanted to.
Absolutely. Practice quizzes, like quizzes that flow to the gradebook, additional assignments, videos, you name it.
So there could be quizzes that only some students have as a gradebook item.
Absolutely. So in our gradebook, when you set up a gradebook, you have the ability to tell us what you want to do with zeros or ungraded items. So you can actually just ignore ungraded items, meaning that they're not going to be penalized. Like we would go and ungrade the first one, grade the second one, and now they're going to end up with the same grade, the same result, basically, right?
Can it be set in the future situation as well? Like they have to hit on these things before they move forward, kind of a self-pacing or competency-based type situation?
So what's really cool about this, if I click back on this, what you're going to notice is that not only can I add one release condition, but I can add multiple conditions. And I can decide whether it's any or whether it's or, right? Or all, I should say. So am I releasing this because they didn't do this, this, and this? Or am I releasing it because they didn't do this, or this, or this?
And they have to do those things before they can move forward.
Absolutely. That's the way you want to gate it.
So this is where, like, so some people are gating their modules like on a week-by-week basis. And they'll just say, you'll see when to start. And so they'll like time release those things. But then they'll be like, okay, well, maybe if I get to week 2, still it's week 3, but I should don't get to go forward until I actually complete the stuff in week 2 first. So it's just it's up to your imagination how you want to use it. When it gets to CDE, and like competency and direct assessment models, if you're starting to go that way in some of your programs, that's where you can start doing things like taking a pretest. And based on, and the nice thing with the pretest is that we can actually link based on specific questions, getting right or wrong, you can actually gate items here right down to the question response level. So this way we can do a pre-assessment, what do you know, what do you don't know, go into the next, based on that you start. Now take some mapping, take some design of your course and understanding the tools at your fingertips. But once you have that down, it's some pretty cool stuff you can start doing. And that's where, that's why for D2L, we're the go-to for CPE right now. But we're also the go-to for colleges and people are looking for the core thing on campus, but also are starting to get into those types of models too. You don't go right on our system. So it's just kind of what it is.
And then those assessments can link to assessment or accreditation and potentially campus labs.
Absolutely.
That stuff again takes some planning. But the nice thing is that you can find those outcomes at the program level, push them down. So all faculty have to do is go quickly and assign that content, that assessment, that outcome to that.
Yeah, Joe, remind me to come back to learning outcomes, because one of the things we didn't even touch on while I was creating the assignment is the ability to add learning outcomes. And those learning outcomes can be created at the course level, or at the program level, the department level, or all the way at the top level of the org, right? So the college can actually say, here's the competencies that we must achieve, and then there can be program level competencies that roll up to that, and then there can be course level learning outcomes that roll up to those competencies. So we can now actually start tracking learning outcomes and competencies through the entire organization. Very powerful, very cool.
Can you have a learning outcome based on the amount of time that a student is in the course?
Time-based learning outcome, that would be interesting.
You create, what you do is you basically time-based be a flag or a gradebook item, you make that gradebook item trigger a link to it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a little bit, it's not a direct thing, but it's just it's a two-step one. But.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We have a nursing course that is a state requirement of the students have to spend a specific amount of hours within the course watching watching modules, learning modules. One of the main teacher struggles is tracking the time that they're spending in the course in our current elements.
So we'll definitely touch on that.
One of the direct ways to do it, it's a little more manual though, is to see those little checkboxes beside the piece of content. Those are, by the way he set this up, those are automatically checked as soon as the student goes to it. But those can be manual, and that piece of content can be linked. So all the instructor has to do is look at how much time, right, they've been in there, check the box. The time, check the box, and that would drive that outcome. That's a manual process, there's an automatic way to do it.
Thanks. All right, so now moving on, we've talked about release conditions, we've talked about gating the experience or providing additional support to students, but now we've got to tell them we did that, right? So that's where our automated messaging tool, it's called Intelligent Agents, comes in very handy. This tool is awesome. Basically, what we were going to allow you to do is set up emails, personalized email messages that are going to go out to your students based on triggers in the platform. Those same triggers we talked about, maybe they score less than 60 on a quiz. So we can send them a low score on a quiz intelligent agent. And they'll get an email message from you, the faculty member, saying, hey, I see that you scored low on a quiz or on the fiction quiz. I've released some additional content to you. So here's what the intelligent agent looks like. Personalized message. Hi, Brad. It appears you didn't do well on the quiz, whatever. Come and see me in my office hours. It could be a video, etc. But what's awesome here is that we don't have to manage this anymore. The system is automatically going to be sending these messages out on our behalf. Okay? Now, if you think about the implementation or the practical use cases, they're endless. For example, maybe you want to poke all the students via email that haven't logged in the last 5 days or 7 days to your course. So you can set up a not logged in 7 days intelligent agent. And automatically at day 7, they haven't logged in, our system takes care of it, sends an email and says, hey, Brad, Bill, Jim, you didn't log in the last 7 days, might want to get on, don't want you to fall too far behind. Okay? A lot of faculty members, when we're doing this demonstration, they say, we spend most of our time tracking down the students or working with the students struggling. Well, what about sending out accolade type information or emails? Saying, hey, great job on the quiz, or nice job on that assignment. So now you can have that automated as well, and that can be a very time-consuming thing. So we're going to take care of that for you. Okay? So you can set up these intelligent agents, by the way, in a master shell, so that they're already there for the faculty members. The faculty just have to add them to the assignment they want them associated with. Okay? Really, really cool. By the way, at the administrative level, and they love this, we can also use these intelligent agents. So at the admin level, an administrator at the beginning of a semester could send out, 7 days into the term, send out an email to everybody who hasn't logged in 7 days. And we can tell them how to get started and who to talk to if they're struggling, and if they don't know their username and password, who do they go see, right? Freshmen are overwhelmed. So now we can redirect them and get them started so they don't fall too far behind. This is all leading to better student engagement and success, right? So any other ideas out there? As I'm going through this, is anything kind of rumbling up there and you're thinking, yeah?
Well, can you send an email to multiple courses at once? You have I have a course that's 9 courses, but it's all one course. I don't know if that makes sense. There's all these sub-courses.
Sure.
We would love the ability to send an email to all 9 of these courses at one time. Is that possible?
So as long as you set up the intelligent agent at the program level, then absolutely. So you'll just trigger at the program level. One of the really cool use cases, by the way, for release conditions and intelligent agents is that we can actually, let's say today, right? Perfect example, snow day. We could have sent out an announcement to everyone at the institution that it was a snow day. But let's say, for example, the Milford campus was actually open today, but the other 2 campuses were closed. Then we could have just deselected the Milford campus so that they don't receive the announcement, right? So we can actually decide who's getting the announcement. Just like we can say, hey, I want to send out an announcement to every student who hasn't submitted to the discussion board or who hasn't submitted to an assignment folder. We can also send it out because they are enrolled or not enrolled in a specific org unit. So absolutely we can do that.
And from the admin thing again, can a grader do it 4 o'clock and they haven't come in? Can they send out to those instructors that haven't submitted their grade yet?
Absolutely, yeah. One really cool thing there is, yeah, so.
See, Diane.
You,
In person on your hands and knees.
Yes.
And break that.
So, yeah, the use case is literally endless. But really getting back to the student side of things, right? Because, in fact, we love it. From the student side of things, we now have a unique experience, right? I did really well in nonfiction, but struggled with fiction. All of a sudden, I get additional content, and really took, 30 seconds to set up, right? And now they've got this additional content and support and help. So, shifting gears a little bit away from that, I know we're actually over time right now. Is that right, Joe?
I think we are, but I think we can keep going, I guess, maybe, because I thought some people left. You didn't offend them, they just have class.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
So, yeah, we're not done yet. Does everybody want to kill me?
Yeah, they're awesome.
The next section is Q&A, which is open forum, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
So
Okay, so
this is our Q&A.
I'll keep on cruising for a minute, and then we can open it up. Sure.
One important thing for me is to do in-text annotations. I don't know if you went over that already.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We can touch on annotation. We haven't done a lot of grading yet, so we'll go there. Yeah, for sure. Actually, you know what? Let's do that right now. So this is one of the things where, Blackboard and Canvas kind of touted for a year, or touted, whatever you want to say. I'm Canadian. Touted for years that they have this inline annotation, et cetera, right? Crocodoc. And then Crocodoc went a little sideways on them, and then they tried to create their own, and they're struggling a little bit. And people kept asking us, like, why don't you have inline annotation? It's a really important piece. And quite frankly, guys, the answer to that was there was not an accessible answer on the market yet for annotations. And quite frankly, I would still put out there that I don't think any of the other LMSs have an accessibly compliant annotation solution. So what we did is we scoured the market, and we just recently, about a year ago, partnered with a company called Critique. So Critique is actually, as we speak, being built into our assignment tool. I can show you Critique today. It's just an LTI tool, but it's being baked in so we can now take advantage of an accessible annotation tool.
Right now, what I have to do is I have to download it, make changes to Microsoft Word, and re-upload it. And it's just a pain.
And that's exactly what we're moving away from. So I'll show you Critique It, but I'll show you our normal grading tool first, and then I'll show you Critique It, which is going to be built in. Okay. So again, sticking with the content tool, guys, I'm going to click on. Actually, let's go to poetry. Add a poetry assignment. So remember one-stop shop. I said that to the faculty members, right? One place, right? Create content, add content, grade, right? Change dates. So I go right into my content tool, and I can go down to my poetry slam assignment that was submitted by my students. And jumping over these two tabs here, right? The dates and restrictions and all that, jumping over learning outcomes, I land on our completion summary. In our completion summary, I can see all of my students down the left, who's submitted and who hasn't, and then I can see who I've graded and who I have not yet graded. So I'm going to scroll on down, and I see that Joey Tribbiani here submitted, but I haven't graded Joey yet. So let's take a look at what Joey submitted. So I can open up the document, and I can now review the document. Okay, I can actually slide my grading panel on the right-hand side, so I can adjust the sizing, etc. Okay, I can review this. I can see that there was actually a rubric attached to this assignment. So I can open up the rubric. I'm a multi-screen user. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm not a multi-screen user, I can just put that on the top or along the side. I can use the rubric. One of the really cool things about our rubrics, by the way, is when you're creating the rubrics, you can put in this custom feedback on the right. So based on all of that feedback from the rubric, this little button here is very important. Transfer my rubric feedback to the feedback area for the student. That's going to save me a boatload of time. I hit save and record. Automatically, Joey got his 6, automatically graded. And down here, all of the feedback from the rubric automatically comes in. Now, if I want to customize this, I certainly can. I can type or add a little video. Audio and video feedback is actually one thing that really differentiates us, because we can actually drop in a video back to the student, right? And say, hey, this is where you went right and went wrong, whatever, right? Really rich, detailed feedback very quickly via video or audio, right? Awesome. So that's the grading experience. That's how easy it is. Okay. Now I'm just going to save that as a draft. I don't want to publish that yet, but I'll show you the annotations and what they look like. Okay. So let's take.
I just wanted to ask, can the students still see the rubric?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and you can set it like to be available beforehand, before it's created and after.
Yeah. So the rubric is actually like right in our assignment folder. Absolutely. Like the students see it, and then they can minimize it too if they don't want.
And is there a lot of flexibility? Can you do ranges, like point ranges?
Absolutely. Yeah, our rubrics are probably the most flexible in the market. I always have to be careful when I say are the most. They are probably the most flexible in the market. I was recently working with a client. I had to invert the rubrics and do some really cool stuff, and the point ranges start at like 0.001 in the grade scheme. Like, it was awesome. And it was because they had like criteria that 75% means they achieved and exceeds and all this stuff. Awesome. So yeah, rubrics, grade schemes, gradebook were the most flexible.
And are there other tools, like we have some others, like a checklist, and I don't use that quite as much.
We have checklists, we have surveys, we have, blog, yeah.
Not, but as a grading tool.
Oh, as a grading tool.
Yeah.
So what would you do that? Sorry, explain that.
A checklist, like you have your list of requirements for the assignment, and if they have it, you just click it, and that's where.
Oh, yeah. No, that would be our rubric. we would actually use our rubric for the checklist.
It
Absolutely.
doesn't, a rubric doesn't have to be a multi-dimensional.
Nope, you could just have one line item. Yeah, and it could just be like check, 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 check for like 10 criteria.
And is there, the other option we kind of have is to just add comments, but still manually do grade.
Yeah.
So, you know, I want to say you really didn't do this right, you didn't do this right, and then I just take off 5 points without using a, or do I have to type those comments in? Could I have the same group of comments with no points attached to them?
Yeah, so you can have a rubric item with no point value.
Okay.
And then you can just customize the grade when you write it. So, right, you guys saw the 6, right? On Joey, I just want to make sure I'm understanding here, but basically I can just change the 6 to whatever I want, even though the rubric said 6, right? So I could have went through my rubric, no problem, and then I can just make the adjustments as necessary.
And I could be wrong, but I think like your rubric is kind of like one option where in Moodle we have the checklist, the marking guide, the rubric. Their rubric is set up to be more like any of those three. You can have the range of points like the marking guide or the set points like the rubric or the checklist.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to jump into a critique of assignment. As I said, guys, currently it's like the LTI integration stage, but this is what it looks like. This actually is a really, really cool product. Within Critique It, we actually open up opportunities for like peer review, peer commenting, and then of course the faculty member can jump in as well. So I only have one assignment submitted by Carter Briggs. By the way, if you want anonymous grading or anonymous peer review, you can do that as well. And it just gives the students a little nickname, right, which is kind of cool. So I can jump into this document, okay? And as you'll see, it's going to pull up all of their capabilities. Again, accessibility was key to us. And so this is what the annotation looks like. Along the right-hand side, I can see all the comments. As I hover over them, I can actually see who made the comments and where they're from. And then to actually do the annotation, you know, I can zoom in, I can zoom out. I can put like a circle on here if I want, right? I can draw a little circle, or if I just want to use pen, if I want to put in a text-based comment, I can. So along the right-hand side, I can undo what I just did there. And really, I mean, very clean, very simple, but that is the annotation capabilities that are built.
Or the instructor comments on the right.
What was that, sorry? Can you say that?
Are those just global? Or the,
Yeah, so the global annotations, because I have peer review on this, I was doing a demonstration where I was highlighting peer review. So it color codes on the right. So if, you know, 3 students are looking at it and then the instructor, the 3 students will all be a different color, and then the instructor will be their own color. If you're not doing peer review, if it's just you, it'll just be your comments.
I want to just be able to make a highlight like you did and then make a comment on that.
Oh, sure.
That's
Yeah.
highlight.
Yeah, so I mean, you grab the text tool, right? And then I can highlight whatever text I want, and then I can drop in a little text message, right? So I hit this T, and now I get my text bubble. That's going to highlight.
And where does that text go?
So it's going to go right, it's going to live in the document when the student looks at it, but you're also going to see on the right-hand side that there's a call out there. It's almost like working in the Word review setting, right? You see all the reviews on the right, but you still see the review in the middle of the document as well. Okay. So yeah, annotation is big, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
For me, it's a big.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What kinds of documents do you annotate though?
Oh, that's a great question. So I don't know of a document we can't. Let me show you an example actually. But I'm going to go back to Critique It. This is one of their strengths, by the way. Any visual arts teachers in here right now? No? Okay. So visual arts instructors absolutely love this. I think I have an image one, poetry art project here. So I told the students to go out and find an image that portrays their poem the best, okay? Students love me. So here's the picture that the student feels, you know, portrays them the best. One of the really cool things here, I can like zoom way in and zoom out. Like if you're teaching visual arts, for example, and you want to get down to like brush stroke grading or color or whatever, I mean, I can literally now highlight the little section that I want to talk about, and I can make a little text like information. Okay? So yeah, very few things we can't annotate on.
question from online.
Sure.
And I know this is backtracking just a little bit. Can an instructor set up an automatic or manual retention alert that would be sent to our student success coaches?
Awesome.
Okay,
Okay, so
D2L Quant sending that question.
yeah, that's one of our guys. Sends that. So
I want to check it. That's sending that question in the chat.
that was Stefan. I think he ran out, jumped on the Zoom. Yeah. So going back to that student success and release conditions and all that stuff, right? Going back to that conversation. One of the really cool capabilities there is that if we wanted to trigger an intelligent agent, we don't have to send it to the student. We can have it sent to an advisor or to a program chair or to an admin or whatever. And so maybe they don't want an email coming from every single quiz. So the capability of our tool would be, maybe I'm a dean and I want to have an email alert at the end of the first month of school. So the first 3 or 4 quizzes, any student who scores less than 60 on the first 4 quizzes of the semester, I want to get an email alert. So then I can talk to the faculty members, I can talk to the student, I can make sure we keep them on track. So that's just one example of how we can now start monitoring, right? I mean, we can do this with quizzes, assignments. Are they engaged in the course? Are they participating in discussions? All of that stuff we can start using agents for. Right? So I hope that answers the question to whoever was online. Yes, we can absolutely trigger alerts so that we know that students aren't participating or engaged. I'm going to go back to that automated messaging tool really quickly, because one thing I glossed over here, as a faculty member, I can actually come in here and I can see who the users were. They were identified by this agent and they received the email. So if I want to follow up manually, I can. You'll see it says no action. That's because I'm not actually sending emails. It's a demo. But you would actually see email sent, email sent, email sent. So that you would know, hey, they got the email, and either it's up to them to come and see me, or I can proactively now, engage with them in class. So this kind of stuff, I mean, we've talked to schools where they're using 3 or 4 systems to try and accomplish what we're doing, and we've got it built right into our workflows. Okay, so grading. Back to grading. Any questions about grading, by the way? Yep.
Well, that's a what is the gradebook look like? How easy is it to build?
Awesome.
I'm a math teacher, so we use my math lab. Is the same grades?
LTI. So LTI integration, no problem. That will automatically create a grade item for you, a grade column, and they will flow right in. So if you have multiple assignments, you can have it flow into multiple grade columns. You can have a category set up for that if you want, or you can just have it roll into the units. Okay. So in terms of our gradebook, guys, I'm just going to warn you up front. What we tried to do in our demonstration here, our demo gradebook, we've tried to highlight our flexibility. Your gradebook does not need to look like this, okay? So if you don't want to use a color scheme, you don't have to. You'll notice I've got some letter grade stuff. I've got some letter grade, or I've got some point value. You can do percentage. So again, we were just trying to highlight the flexibility. I believe we are the only one in the market offering the range of letter grade, even text-based grading. Really, the sky's the limit. So if you actually want to have a text-based grade column where you're just writing good job or bad job or whatever, you can do that if you want in our gradebook. Okay? So in terms of setting up the gradebook, I understand you guys used to be Angel. Is that right? So used to be we're going back, right? But if anyone in here, happened to be here when you were using Angel, you're gonna love this view. So very Angel-esque in terms of giving you the ability to set up your grade categories and your grade items, and then just knowing exactly what's happening. So do I want things within a category? Do I want them equally weighted, or do I want to manually grade every item? Okay, we'll take care of that by category. That's up to you guys. Do you want multiple categories, or do you just want everything to be graded, right? If you are using an LTI tool, for example, you can set up a category for just those My Math Lab items from Pearson, right? And they'll just, we can have them flow into that one category. So we don't have to worry about blowing up your gradebook. So yeah, gradebook, very, very simple. Now I'll show you one thing that's really, really cool about this. When I go into the Enter Grades area, okay, you're going to notice these little bubbles and these little action items here. So what I can do is I can actually jump right to our grading, our inline grading tools, our discussion grading tools, etc. I can jump to those right from the gradebook, just simply by clicking right on those callouts. Okay? But maybe it's an assignment that's in class. Maybe it's a live presentation right in front of me. I can switch to spreadsheet view, and I now have literally a working spreadsheet. So if I need to edit a grade, or if I want to drop in a bunch of grades really quickly, but I don't want to do a CSV import, I can just come in here and manually just pop in these grades. Okay? So we kind of give you the best of both worlds, a working gradebook, but also being able to grade right from your gradebook in kind of a more static environment. Okay? Make sense? Pretty easy to use in terms of setting up. And one thing I'll mention before I come back to you, we have a setup wizard. So in case you're worried about what this looks like, you can actually walk through our setup wizard, and it's going to say, okay, what are your categories? Do you want a pointer percentage? Do you want, and it just walks you through those steps. Yeah.
What about bonus points? Something that can, but you have can someone get 11?
Yeah, absolutely. So it, like right in our quizzing tool, actually built right in, you can actually make something a bonus question, or you can have it go above. One of the settings in every grade item is, can it go above like the grade item number? So if I say this grade item is 10, can it go above that? You get to decide.
Then another question.
Sure.
So I get 5 exams, and the 5th is a final.
Yep.
Can I have that final replace or lowest 4? One of the lowest 4?
So we can definitely drop the lowest.
We can't replace.
Well, maybe, no, you know what, we could set up a calculated grading. So we would set up or a formula, I should say, formula grading. So the formula would look like, you know, if this, then this, right, kind of thing. So we can have it drop the lowest, and then we can insert the top 4. Yeah, so it'd just be figuring out the formula. Don't ask me to demo that. Yeah. Any other thoughts there? Awesome. Okay, guys, so one other thing I wanted to highlight here. At D2L, we were known for data for quite some time. And you know, we worked kind of at the org level for the longest time. Like we were trying to bring like admin reports and you know, trying to really help with like understanding competency across organizations, etc. But we realized there's a really great opportunity to utilize data at the faculty level, right? So big data is great, but it needs to make sense. Like no one wants to look at a CSV all night and figure out what students didn't do well and what students did, etc. So why not make it more visual and make it really easy? So as a faculty member, I go into our class progress tab, and I get a nice bird's eye view of exactly what's happening, okay? So I can see who's doing well, who maybe I need to be concerned about. If I wasn't paying attention to the intelligent agents, or maybe I wasn't utilizing, it's a great way to know exactly what's happening in your course. For example, 2 people are jumping out at me here. Megan Ahrens hasn't looked at any of my course content yet. Big red flag. And Michael Klein hasn't successfully completed a learning outcome yet. Everybody else has. So I can actually drill down a little bit further and get some more information here. So I, as the faculty member, really want to know, okay, he needs remediation on 2 of the learning outcomes. What happened? And by the way, maybe I forgot what assignments I even attached to that hello. So I can actually see exactly what the assignments were. I can see that I set a threshold of 70, but he only scored a needs work or a 60 in my custom grade scheme, okay? So I can now just hover over Michael's thumbnail here, and I can reach out to him via email or instant message, and we can connect, right? I can make sure that I'm staying on top of Mike, getting him back on track. So big data, but making it really easy to use, right? Really simple. So having this type of access to data can really kind of streamline your experiences. One last thing I'll highlight before I come back there is time on task. A lot of faculty say, listen, I would love to know if my students are actually engaged, right? Are they logging in? How much time are they spending? So let's say Michael wants to come and see me in my office hours and says, listen, I'm really not understanding this. I can say, Mike, you've spent 33 minutes in the content, and we're in week 13. Now, maybe that's the problem, right? So this is the kind of data, like, you know, in other LMSs, it would take you a year to get to the data, and we're just making it, you know, bring it forward. So, question?
Just when you clicked on the student, you could send an email or send an instant message. What do those 2 things do?
So the email is an actual email. And so what we would do is, you guys are, it's Office 365 or Yeah, Office 365, yeah, that's okay. Office 365, so we can actually utilize your own. So basically, we'll have a record of anything sent, but all other communication will stay in Office 365. You don't want to have to manage 2 emails, right? That's the way most of our clients do it anyway. The instant message tool is actually a quick one-on-one within our platform. So you're literally going to send an instant message. He's going to get a little pop-up alert that he has a message. And then you can have like a quick one-on-one interaction.
And if he's not online, will you get it when he goes online?
He will, yes. So now if I hover over there though, just as an FYI, see that little gray bubble beside his name? If that's green, it means he's online. Gray means off. So if I see my students online, they're green, boom, pop a little instant message and get them back on track. Yeah, great question.
So it's very common, or it's very similar like a Skype, if we use that, where there's just a green notification if someone's online.
Absolutely.
Question from online. Can the gradebook be set up to record hours of work during cooperative experience? Hours are manually entered by the instructor. We just want our students to see the hours they've worked per week.
Yes, so we can have a grade item that's not attached to anything in the class per se. So that could either be a text-based grade item or just a grade item where you can post the number of hours as a grade if you wanted. So yes.
Yeah. All right. Barb.
Yes.
Left me with the quizzes. How easy or hard is it to set up a quiz or add a question to a quiz, and especially quizzes that have a open-end answer, you know, where they misspell the word and you have to go back and grade those, and how easy or hard is that part of it?
Yes. Awesome. Okay. So let's take a real quick look. It's not hard. So we'll go into our quizzing tool. I'm going to access that. I think there's an on-fiction quiz. Now I can go to my quizzing tool again, but I really do like highlighting the fact that everything is available right from the content tool. So to do, but I need a quiz. Maybe it was poetry quiz. There we go. So I have a poetry terms quiz that I can click on. Okay. So I'm going to click on this quiz setup button. So I realized as a faculty member, you know what? I forgot a question I wanted to add. So I click on quiz setup. Okay. And right there, add questions or edit questions. Someone had a question earlier about bonus marks. If I click on edit values, for example, I now have the ability to edit the values of every question. I can make things a bonus mark if I want. I can even put in difficulty levels. But let's skip that. Let's go to add or edit a question in the quiz. And so I'm just going to click on the new question type, and here you go. So you have a really nice list of, you know, is it a short answer, is it an arithmetic, an ordering question, matching, you name it. So I can drop in, you know, I'll just drop in multiple choice, for example. Okay. And we'll say, what day is it? That's my go-to question. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, if you don't want that many answers, you can delete them. If you want more, you can add. I can randomize the questions per student. I select the correct answer. Cool thing you're seeing on the right-hand side, you actually get to see exactly what the question's going to look like. Okay. Now, a couple other things I'll highlight here, by the way. We've really streamlined our quiz question creation tool, made it super easy. But if you want to get at any of our more flexible tools, okay, more advanced tools, maybe you want to add a hint or feedback, then you can do that. So I can click add hint, for example, and I can now drop in audio, video, I can drop in whatever I want as a hint. So you can literally drop in a YouTube video about a song called Thursday as a hint if you wanted to. So that's how easy it is to work. Yeah.
Could you put a video for the question? Like I teach anatomy, take a picture of a bone and ask what bone is this or something?
Absolutely. So you've got all of that HTML capability there. One other really cool feature, and I just stumbled upon this not too long ago, embarrassingly, we can actually create sections of questions within our quiz tool. And in that section, you can actually post one image. So I know I just wrapped up my MBA, and a lot of times in my exams, there would be one graphic that there was like 10 questions about. And so I had to keep scrolling back to find the image. Well, in ours, you can actually say, I want this image displayed with every question in this section. So the image will automatically be there for the student, like super cool. So yeah.
Along those lines, does it allow for a hotspot questions, like you have a picture and they have to choose, like, where is this photo? Click on it?
So we do have that, but not in our quizzing tool. We actually have that as part of our game-based learning package. I'll leave it there. It's not integrated yet. We've talked about it. I'm just not sure if it's on the roadmap yet.
But going back and grading open-ended questions, or, you know, the short answer ones, you have to go back and double check to see, like, if they just misspell it or put a space in the wrong spot, and you can make it correct. That's really easy to do.
Oh yeah, so I mean, you're just gonna click on the same question, grade it, just like we went into the essay, and open it up. All right, guys.
I assume it has like random questions in a pool, and you can pull random questions from a bank of questions.
Oh, absolutely, yep. So question library, again, you set up a section and just say, I want like 25 of these 50 questions or whatever. It'll totally randomize. And you can still randomize the question answers too. So
can you then import, like, I think now maybe we use Respondus or something like that, so just import a whole as you have this too.
Yep, so QTI compatible, which is awesome for Respondus. Publisher test banks, those are all going to come in, no problem. So what we usually recommend, I mean, you create an awesome question library, and then you can actually share amongst yourselves if you want via our learning object repository. So you can kind of streamline things there if you want. But yeah, absolutely bring them in. We're a standards-based platform, right? Like really today, if you're not LTI and QTI and all that stuff, you're going to struggle. So we make sure that we're talking to like all the publishers, all the, you know, Kalturas and stuff of the world. Anything else, guys? Great questions. Sure.
Yeah, I have a question about that adding content. I forgot to ask you when you were going over that.
Adding content, sure.
If you're teaching multiple sections of the same class, can you get to add content to each section, or can you link it where you add content, like notes or something, into one and it automatically goes into all 3 sections?
Yeah, so it depends how your course is set up. We have an awesome section tool. So if you're teaching for the exact same class, then absolutely use our section tool. And the students are going to be enrolled into those individual sections. You're going to update one content area. Everyone's going to see those updates. You can still have separate quizzes, etc., right? But yeah, that would be the best way to do it. If it's set up as 4 separate classes, though, then you would edit the one class and then do a copy. It's going to make your life a lot easier. Just copy stuff. Oh, course copy. Someone had a question about course copy earlier, right? Was that this group? Course copy? Oh, right, okay. All right. So I touted how awesome it was. Let's go back to this. I want to show you know, that I'm not lying. So I'm going to go into our content area, and right from our table of contents. By the way, if you're, you know, you guys are all Moodle users, if you want to bring in your Moodle package, this is how hard it is, right? You click on import course, and if you have your package, you'll click on import course package, and you'll drag and drop your Moodle package. That's it, okay? So we made that super easy. But if we're copying from another class or from last semester, this is all we have to do. Search for the course offering we want to copy from, okay? I always do this, I need a course. Hopefully I have something in the management course. All right, so I'm going to click on that course. Now at the bottom, you'll notice I have 2 options. Copy all components or copy select components. So I actually get a really nice grocery list of the stuff that's in my course. So I can now highlight everything, but if I want to freshen up discussions, or maybe I want to change my gradebook this year, or maybe I don't want the same napkin, then I can just change that. Done. That's it. And when I hit continue, all of that stuff that I have checked is coming over. Simple as that. Okay. Yeah. High fives. Okay. I got a fist bump the other day, by the way. That was my first fist bump in a presentation. Yeah. So any other questions, thoughts? You guys excited?
Question from online. Nearly all of, statement. Nearly all of your presentation seems equal to or an improvement on our current LMS. What areas of D2L are less than perfect or in need of improvement? Plans for future development?
Great question. I can take that one.
Yeah,
I would say, sure. I would say that most of our focus right now is trying to simplify the user experience. We were always kind of known as having these tools that could really kind of make a serious impact when it comes to retention. And right now we're not in the mindset of trying to develop more tools towards that, I mean, what did you show earlier where you reverted back to a previous experience? Yeah, and I think on the roadmap for this quarter, I think that the next thing we're looking at freshening up is our gradebook.
The grade tool is going to just, I mean, it's going to be more daylighted. So the user experience you're looking at right now, internally, we just call it daylight. You don't have to do that. But we're like daylighting tools as we're going through. So if we feel like it needs like just a newer look, or maybe we're considering drag and drop or something, we just say we're daylighting. So our focus right now is on making things super consistent. That one-stop shop, content tools, super easy access to everything, and then making everything look like fully responsive, daylighted, modern, that kind of thing.
Sure. And like part of that, like 2 years ago, our real big focus was to come out with a responsive design platform to make sure that everybody had equal access to learning, that with one platform we can reach every learner. Now I'd say today, our biggest concern is to make sure that somebody that doesn't spend too much time in the LMS, I know that it might be it might be different from this institution because you're extremely unique in that everybody uses the LMS, right? 100% adoption. And part of that's because you have 29% of your classes are online. People actually use it. Like Brad and Stefan and I, we go to campuses all the time where there's 20, 30, 40% utilization of the LMS. And so what we're really trying to do is focus on how can somebody that has never utilized the LMS, how can they just jump in and start to use it really easy without any training whatsoever? But then also provide a platform too that people want to use, that if they want to do really cool stuff and they want to try to move the needle when it comes to retention, they can also do that too, and the tools are built in. That's what we're focused on. That's a great question.
Can you talk about what tools are available here that would promote engagement and collaboration among students? Some of the things that I do in my classes, I may have students do a video presentation that they then get posted so everybody can see those and test questions come off of that. And what kind of capabilities do you have?
What is your name?
Rachel.
Sorry?
What, Rachel?
Rachel? All right, Rachel. Great question. Thanks for that. No, honestly, it's like I asked you to ask that question. I'm going to jump into my additional materials. Just like Critique It, we partnered with a company called Virtual Classroom, or UCU. UCU Virtual Classroom allows for exactly what you said. If I want to create a presentation in which, like a video assignment presentation, I want to do a presentation back, I want other students to peer review it, maybe even group work, I want them working as a group on this presentation, then I can do that. So basically what I have here is Megan Aaron's already peer reviewed Frank's work. I can now go in as an instructor, I can grade this presentation, I can play the presentation. Just kidding. Oh, full screen is not what I want. So, but I can play this presentation. I'm going to turn the volume down just in case. And as it goes through, what we're going to notice is the timestamp comments are going to start to appear from either myself or the peers who have looked at the presentation. And so if something's a little offside, or I think it's not warranted, I can, as the administrator, I can trash can it. But this is the kind of thing we're bringing in, allowing students to now, again, work together. Online classes, this is an amazing tool. And this is core. This is built right in. So right out of the box, you can start using the video assignment tool. Yeah.
And so to take that a step further, is it possible to give each of the students who participated in that activity separate grades?
Oh, absolutely it is. Yeah.
From here. Like, oh, this is his presentation, so the presentations get 20 points, but peer reviewers get 10. And Susie did it, so do you do it from the screen or do you have to pop around?
Oh, no, you would open your gradebook in a separate tab just for the peer review stuff. Right. This alone, you're going to grade the user's presentation. Okay. But for the peer review, you can absolutely have a peer review column, or you can just have it affect their final grade in the gradebook, right? One of the nice things about our platform, by the way, is you can have multiple screens open at the same time. So you can actually have your gradebook open while you're looking at the tools, which is handy, right? Like some of them lock you down, you can't do that. So it's really nice that we have that capability.
I'm sure you probably have some statistics you could share with us as far as the users of your product? How many schools do you have using it? What types of schools?
About, well, 1,200 institutions or customers that we work with, ranging from, 50 students to 150,000 students. You know boards better than I do.
Sure, yeah, I mean, I think we have a pretty wide range and diverse client base. I think that, if we really kind of focus in on the type of schools that end up choosing D2L, right, there's kind of two characteristics a lot of times they share. And one of them is they have an online presence, a heavy online presence, or it's something they're looking to grow strategically. Or two, they have some type of I would say, a passion and commitment towards student success. So naturally, where that gravitates toward is the community college space in a school like yourself. And so when it comes to community colleges, in the last year and a half, since 2016, 63% of the evaluations in the community college realm have chosen to work with D2L. So we do very, very well in the community college space, and we do extremely well in like the online space, but that doesn't mean that we also can serve like a traditional just brick and mortar research-based university too, but we generally find that those schools aren't as near as likely to pick D2L as, does that make sense?
Yeah, because they probably don't care too much about student success.
Sure. Well, a lot of them, and there's nothing bad about it, but a lot of them, the institution is all about research, right? Absolutely. And so if you're just a purely research-based organization, sometimes we might not be the best fit. We're pretty open about that too. But we feel very passionate about that if you're looking for student success and retention, that we're the partner. I mean, the LMS is uniquely qualified in that your faculty reside in it every single day. And so do your students too, and that's where they're engaging in. And what other products do you have on your campus that faculty go into every day and they can interact with your students? I mean, so just the fact that there's that opportunity, the LMS, any LMS is uniquely qualified to, be leveraged as a platform that can help with, some of the strategic initiatives. Any other questions? I know one of the questions that we might have got that I stepped out is what's kind of like the uptime on this? And I think we've mentioned this in the first session, but just if you are new to this session, D2L's cloud-based, it's over 99.998% uptime. So virtually 100% uptime. I don't know if that came up earlier, but that's usually the question we get.
Can you show the e-portfolio, or can you show kind of what it looks like?
I'm just going to impersonate a user because I have a user in here who has some better data than myself. So I'm going to impersonate my buddy Frank Ketcher, who's a demo student we use all the time. And I'm going to go to that e-portfolio. This is a student view, by the way. Okay, very similar to what the faculty sees. We did that on purpose, obviously. We don't want any confusion. And so from an e-portfolio perspective, this is, by the way, on the roadmap for a little bit of that daylight kind of refresh. But basically, it's a live feed of what's been happening. So I, as Frank, could be on my phone. I could be on, using the ePortfolio app. I could be at a placement or a practicum or whatever. I could do videos, post pictures, etc. But at the same time, you'll see Amy Chen has something on my dashboard here. And so as I'm looking through my time feed, I'm seeing that Amy is asking me to review her presentation before she submits. So I can actually open up Amy's presentation and I can review that presentation. It's just a one-pager, and I can now review that. If we wanted to add a rubric to this, I certainly could make a rubric available, or I can just add comments to Amy before she submits, etc. What's really cool about that is the feedback given by the peers is also part of the submission to the faculty member when they submit via the ePortfolio, which is cool. But in short, basically, what the ePortfolio allows you to do is it allows you to post reflections. If I'm in the middle of reviewing a big document and I want to make some notes about it, there's a button on the bottom left-hand corner that says reflect in ePortfolio. So I don't even have to leave the document in my content area. I can just reflect on ePortfolio. I get a little pop-up. I can type my comment and save it or tag it or whatever I want to do, and then I can keep on reviewing the document. So this really becomes like a working area for the student. Okay? As I said, images, videos, comments, documents that they want to share with others, group work. This is amazing for group work. They can actually, you know, edit and review the documents before they submit. And then they can create presentations, something that's somewhat unique to us in the e-portfolio realm. We do not limit the number of presentations a student does. So they can create as many presentations as they want. If every class at your institution decides to use e-portfolio, they can have a presentation or 10 in every one of those classes. Right? So we've got a bunch of cool backgrounds, you know, we can support all of that. They can share those presentations outside the institution, by the way, just via a URL, which is really handy. And it's updated in real time. So if they notice a spelling mistake and they've already sent it out to people, they can just update it and it's automatically updated across everyone they shared with.
So, yeah, maybe even more of like an e-portfolio. Think of it as like a brag book for your students. I mean, something like a tool they can use to actually become more employable out in the field, something they can take with them wherever they go.
One last thing I'll say about this area, actually, unless you have specific questions, I can actually put things into like my items. And when I jump into my items, what you're going to notice is I have the ability to look at all my artifacts. I can actually create collections. So if I want to create a collection for like my bio course and my math course and my history course, it just allows me to easily find all that stuff. Meanwhile, it's still going to be on my feed, but now I can jump to that stuff really easily. I can also search via tag. So everything you put in, it's going to ask if you want to add a tag to it. So you can tag the class or tag the collection, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, just we try to keep it super simple, but at the same time, I mean, it's really quite flexible. It's just what you want out of it. Does that answer the question? Okay. One thing, in case you weren't in that first demo, by the way, this is lifetime access. So after the student has left your institution, they actually get to take their e-portfolio with them. They put it on our servers, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. And they then get to use ePortfolio, continue to build on it, share it, you name it. And they just do that through mydesiretololearn.com. Any other questions, thoughts?
Going once.
Applause.
Going twice.
Hey!
Do you integrate with the rest of the Office 365 products like Skype? Any examples of that? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we can do, I think I have an account. So can I talk to you after? What I will do here, let's do this. Right on my home screen, it's not the best example of OneDrive, unfortunately, Google Apps. So I have like the Google Apps right on my home screen, for example. Same thing would be for OneDrive. So I would have access to like mail and calendar and stuff. You can put that widget on the home page or on every course home page. So they can access like, you know, as I said, OneDrive, mail, etc. Right from there. I'm glad I'm in as Frank. I forgot I was Frank. So that made it very handy. Okay.
And you have Zoom, right? To use Zoom a lot.
Zoom's a LTI. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we love Zoom. We also have virtual classroom, right, which comes out of the box. So it might, you know, you might be able to cut back on Zoom usage if you wanted to. But yeah, virtual classroom's there. Even if you don't use virtual classroom, you can at least use the video assignments, which are pretty cool. Any other questions? Yes. Well, thank you so much. Nice to chat with you all. Thanks for the questions. If you didn't get a Starbucks gift card, by the way, come out for the wrap. Hopefully everybody got their Starbucks gift card.